All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah, great to be here.
And today we are going to be talking about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which is a book that I'm sure a lot of our listeners are familiar with.
Yeah, it's classic.
But we're going to be talking about it with a little bit of a twist.
Yeah.
We found this Spanish podcast,
Correct? Yeah.
and it was talking about how Rich Dad, Poor Dad is very relevant
Right.
to today,
Mhm.
specifically because of the rise of AI.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to kind of take a look at Rich Dad, Poor Dad
Right.
through the lens of this Spanish podcast
Yeah.
and kind of see how
Yeah.
the lessons that Kiyosaki talks about in that book can be
Uh-huh.
applied to the modern age where
Mhm.
AI is really starting to change everything.
I mean, yeah, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that's a book that came out in the late 90s, right?
1997.
1997, so much has changed.
I mean, since then, yeah.
The internet was barely a thing
Right.
back then.
I feel so old.
I know, me too.
So yeah, but it's really interesting how this book can actually be even more relevant
Mhm.
now than it was back then.
In a way, right, because like the core principles of Rich Dad, Poor Dad are all about building assets, right?
Right,
Like Rich Dad builds assets, Poor Dad works for money.
right.
And that's kind of
Yeah.
like the fundamental difference in their mindsets.
And that's the thing is like Kiyosaki really emphasizes changing your mindset
Yeah, absolutely.
about money.
It's not just about like
Right.
learning specific tactics. It's about like
Yeah.
shifting your whole perspective on how money works.
Yeah, you're not working for money. Money's working for you.
Exactly. And that's where I think AI comes in.
Okay, so let's get into the AI part
Yeah.
because I mean that's what's so fascinating about this whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So this Spanish podcast that you mentioned,
Right.
they were talking about how AI can actually help us build assets
Uh-huh.
in ways that we couldn't even imagine back in 1997.
So like what kind of examples did they give?
Well, they talked about this AI tool called Notebook LM. Have you heard of this?
I have heard of Notebook LM.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Like a personalized AI for learning.
Exactly. So imagine like having an AI that not only teaches you about investing,
Okay.
but also analyzes your finances, identifies opportunities based on your risk tolerance,
Uh-huh.
and even automates tasks like bill payments. It's like having a personalized financial advisor
Right.
available 24/7.
Like your own personal rich dad.
Yeah, kind of.
I mean, it's like
He-
taking the principles of Rich Dad, Poor Dad and like amplifying them.
Exactly. And, you know, in the book, Kiyosaki talks a lot about real estate
Right.
as an asset.
Right.
But this podcast was saying, like, hey, think about digital real estate.
In the metaverse or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what if you could have an AI
Right.
that helps you invest in virtual land
Okay.
in the metaverse, or maybe helps you manage a crypto portfolio?
Mhm.
Like, these are things that Kiyosaki couldn't have even dreamed of
Right.
back then.
Back in 1997? No.
But the principles are still the same.
Right. It's still about owning assets.
Yeah, it's still about having your money work for you.
And I think that that's what's so powerful about
Sure.
this idea
Mm-hmm.
is that it's not just about learning about money anymore.
Right.
It's about using these AI tools to actually manage it more effectively.
And to find opportunities that we as humans might miss.
Right?
Like AI can analyze market trends
Mhm.
much faster and more efficiently than we can,
Right.
and can identify patterns that we might not even see.
So it's almost like this whole robots are stealing our jobs narrative
Right.
is actually flipped on its head.
Yeah,
Because you're saying that it could actually empower us
exactly.
to be financially independent.
Like AI could be the key
Right.
to unlocking that financial freedom that Kiyosaki talks about.
It's like instead of fearing AI, maybe we should be thinking about
Yeah.
how can we use it to our advantage.
Absolutely.
It's like Rich Dad, Poor Dad for the digital age.
I love that.
And it's like, it's really interesting to think about like how
Yeah.
AI could be used to personalize financial strategies.
Right, because what works for one person
Right.
might not work for another.
Everybody's different.
Exactly. And AI can take into account your individual risk tolerance,
Uh-huh.
your financial goals, your time horizon,
Right.
and create a plan that's tailored specifically for you.
So we've got Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Mm-hmm.
We've got AI.
Yeah.
What's the missing ingredient?
I mean, I think the missing ingredient is still financial literacy.
Okay.
Like, even with all these amazing AI tools,
You've got to understand the basics.
you still need to understand the fundamentals
Right.
of personal finance. You need to know how to make informed decisions.
Because the AI is only as good as the information you're giving it.
Exactly. And you need to be able to critically evaluate
Right.
the advice that the AI is giving you.
So it's not just blindly trusting the
Right.
robots.
No, it's about using AI as a tool to enhance your own financial knowledge and decision-making.
Yeah. So for all of our listeners out there,
Yeah.
what we want you to take away from this is that
Mm-hmm.
these principles of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, they're still incredibly relevant.
Absolutely.
But now we have these incredible tools that can help us put them into practice.
Yeah, and I think this is just the beginning.
Right.
Like, AI is evolving so rapidly.
It's changing every day.
Every day, and its potential in personal finance is only just starting.
Yeah, we're just scratching the surface here.
Exactly.
So the question is for you,
Yeah.
how are you going to use these tools to achieve your financial goals?
Are you going to embrace it?
Right. Are you going to be scared of it, or are you going to use it to your advantage?
Yeah. Are you going to be rich dad or poor dad?
In the AI age.
Exactly. It's food for thought.
Yeah, definitely something to think about.
All right.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
And we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Bye-bye.
Bye.